What's up everyone, Vu of Vu Films, and I am back with another idiotic video for you to watch. And this is an idiotic video because I'm about to talk about a camera that I have never even used, tried, which is the Sony FX6. And also stupid because I am talking about this while I'm in my car. I am currently on my way home from a client video shoot that started at 4 a.m. and now it's about little past 1 p.m. Point is, I filmed this client work with Sony A7S3 and DJI Mavic 2 Pro. No, I do not use a massive cinema camera. Big playing client. They don't care what camera I'm using because they know the type of work I produce. With that being said, one of the biggest douchebag comments I ever hear for people buying a big cinema camera rig is the fact that it makes them look more professional, or the client will more likely hire them because they have a big cinema camera, not based off of their portfolio. It's incredibly dumb from the client's part, but if the client went to my website, looked at my portfolio, looked at my work, and when I rolled up with whatever camera it may be, it could be a cell phone, it could be this DJI Pocket 2 that I'm vlogging on right now, they should kneel over and let me do my work. Now, that being said, I'm not here to talk badly about the FX6. The FX6 is an amazing camera. You know why? Because it is literally a Sony A7S3 in a slightly bigger cinema looking camera body. According to Gerald Undone, I watched that review, probably the only review anyone ever needs to watch. The FX6 sensor is the same as a Sony A7S3 sensor, and people will be asking why, because it's only 10 megapixel sensor versus 12 megapixel Sony A7S3 sensors, because the FX6 only takes into account the video portion of the sensor because it's not a photography camera, whereas a Sony A7S3 counts the whole entire full frame for photo, which pretty much makes it a 12 megapixel sensor. So it's the same sensor. It has pretty much the same basic video codecs, video abilities. The FX6 I found actually lacks one of the codecs. I'm not sure, I forgot exactly which ones, but it does not have every single codec the A7S3 could do. A7S3 has more versatility with codecs still, and the overall touch screen of the Sony A7S3 is more intuitive, especially for touch focusing, menus and all that stuff. So there's a few things obviously that Sony A7S3 lacks that the FX6 has, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about the cinema camera body size. Obviously there's the audio output that's already built in, some other random, I think, advantages with time code, etc. like that. But all in all, you're spending $3,000 more for, I don't know, maybe a camera with the similar capabilities but lacking in some areas. And if you're over here and you have a small penis and you need to walk around with a big rig to make your penis feel like it's bigger, then you could always just rig up your Sony A7S3 with a cage, a bunch of handles, get that Atomos Ninja on there. You just put the HDMI on there, get that ProRes raw action, put a big old that $300 like audio rig on the hot shoe of the Sony A7S3, and bam, there you have it. You have this big looking cinema looking rig to make you look more professional, and it's all that still going to be cheaper than an FX6. Matter of fact, Sony A7S3 plus the Tamron Trinity of lenses 17 to 28, 28 to 75, and 70 to 180 still ends up being cheaper than an FX6 body. Now I get it, you could definitely get FX6 And you know, for like broadcast use or like super long duration type stuff, like I definitely see an advantage and a use for an FX6, okay? But I'm telling you this right now, 95% of creative cinematography, videography work, an A7S III is still the ultimate camera. Because, like I said, you could always rig it up to get it to that cinema level of rigatry. But you could also leave it as is and have this very discreet camera. So if you're trying to film more discreetly, documentary work, weddings, you don't want to have like this massive rig carrying around, you're traveling, the A7S III is still better. Or if you are just a perverted little douchebag who's trying to hide behind the corner, you know, filming ladies walking around with their buns behind a tree bush, the A7S III is definitely for you, okay? So you have that going for you with the Sony A7S III. I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't mind having an FX6. I own two Sony A7S III bodies, and I wouldn't mind having an FX6. I think it's $6,000 for a camera like that is well worth the price, even though it's $3,000 more than A7S III. But the more I think about it, if I were to get a third professional video body for the type of work that I do, I would probably still get another Sony A7S III, because the Sony A7S III to me could pretty much do everything the FX6 could do, and then some. You could always rig it up if you need those audio outputs. You could always rig it up. You know, and the way I record audio, I usually don't record directly into the camera. I always have a separate recorder. I do things a little bit more differently than some other people do, and I'm sure a lot of people probably operate the same way that I do. I just think it's kind of like an extra $3,000 you shouldn't spend. I mean, good on Sony to pretty much, they kind of ate into their FX9 consumers with this FX6. So as you can see, Sony is very unlike Canon in terms of, like, you know, they don't really cripple their cameras. They just pretty much release whatever they can, the best thing they can to compete and to be the most competitive. So I do see them probably doing some type of firmware update with FX9 in the future, but the problem with FX9 is the processor isn't as nice as FX6, so it's not going to be as capable of doing things that the FX6 does. So, I mean, quite honestly, I don't even know why you would get an FX9 over an FX6 if you're looking for that cinema type of camera. But what I'm here to say is that if you were in the market for A7S III, or you just bought one, or you're pre-ordered one, I would still hold on to that pre-order. I wouldn't sell your A7S III for FX6. Or if you're thinking about buying an FX6 or an or Sony A7S III, I would think about this. If you're going to be doing broadcast work, get an FX6. If you're doing any other type of cinematography work, get an A7S III. If you pre-order the A7S III, keep it, because it'll probably still deliver to you sooner than the FX6 will, because I think the FX6 is probably not going to even start shipping until sometime 2021. And of course, by that time, the Chinese will probably create another COVID-20, COVID-21, and they'll further delay shipment of the FX6. I'm just kidding. Don't get offended. So, I don't know. That is just my thoughts. I am tired. My brain is probably all jacked up. I had like 1 hour of sleep. I've been shooting all morning into the afternoon. Have not ate lunch yet. But hey, that is the nature of being a videographer. And hey, look, this client paid. They paid big bucks. And all I had was Sony A7S III. And so, you know, you don't need a freaking cinema rig to get clients to pay. All you need is a good portfolio, you know. And if a client wants to hire you without looking at your portfolio, just looking at your camera, great. But that's the same thing if a lady comes up to you and you have a big junk and you don't know how to thrust it. Well, that's your problem. So anyways, till next time, guys, Lighten up.